Before we get going, I want you to tell me what your favourite Unreal 5 game is so far down in the comments below. So ever since Unreal 5, there's been a whole slew of games that just look visually phenomenal. We're entering an age where games have so much visual fidelity they almost look like they were rendered in real life. And one that is no exception to this is a brand new game that has been announced and teased, and it is called Hell Is Us. There aren't many details on it so far, but I do have enough to whet your appetites and at least get you excited for this new and upcoming title. It's called Hell Is Us. It's a third-person action-adventure title, and if you've seen the trailer, yes, that's right, it's got drones and it's also got an abundance of melee combat. It's not fully open world, but it is semi-open world, and there's a whole slew of mysterious creatures you've got to hack and slash along on your journey as you go. Now, the way they've described this game is a bit poetical, and it reads the following: if war is the closest we get to hell on Earth, it's because Earth harbours the worst of demons, humankind. In an isolated country ravaged by infighting, discover the secrets of your past and deal with the repercussions of a mysterious calamity. And breaking that down, basically what's happened, there's a civil war, there was a massive calamity, and it's led to a whole host of supernatural creatures that have popped up, except there's no weapons that can kill them aside you. There's a lot of information out there, but it just makes you ask more questions. So the drone and sword that you get given is being quoted as from a different age, and these two are your faithful allies. I'm presuming the drone has some sort of AI, and basically they're your best buddies when you're cutting down all the different chimeras that are slewed through the land. Now, where things get really interesting is they're putting a unique spin on the exploration system, and when I mean unique, there is no map, there's no compass, no quest markers. They describe it as following your instincts is part of the adventure. So I'm expecting something very, very self-documenting. This does already raise some questions though in terms of accessibility, because games that have done this in the past, such as Souls-likes, this has always ended up being their biggest criticism. Because I think you've got to ask yourself the question, why are you making this more difficult? Does it actually add an extra layer of depth and user experience, or is it just being different for the sake of being different? That aside, combat, there's a whole slew of different weapons that you can play around. We've already mentioned that it is a melee-focused game, so you can find swords, there's spears, there's axes, and a whole slew of other weapons that have just been tailored and designed to kill these supernatural creatures. So far on paper, the game does sound very, very interesting. The visuals are very, very impressive. That cannot be argued with. And the running thing that the director is going with is very poetic, and it's got me interested, and I quote it again: the central theme of Hell of Us is that human violence is a perpetual cycle fueled by human emotions and passions. And just listening to all the kind of like the voices, I do get vibes of Senua's Sacrifice. Now, in terms of gameplay, there is none at the moment. I'm presuming that the trailer was rendered using Unreal 5, but it is a scripted sequence. And the visuals that you see in the actual trailer are going to be very similar to what we see in the game itself. I'm guessing there is going to be a lot of action in this game by the amount of bodies on the floor. There's like all these weird blue jelly baby men all over the place. There's also this big red spiky cloud thing throbbing in the distance. I'm presuming that's some sort of anomaly. Maybe that's where all these creatures have come from. You also get to see the drone and the weaponry. So the big blue sword with the glowing light on it, similar sort of color as the jelly baby men. And I actually got vibes of the Matrix of all things from the hovercraft. I think it was the hover noise that it made, similar to like the submarines that used to go through all the ducts in the underground. I also think the reason why it reminds me of Senua's Sacrifice is the way that the ambience and the sound, it kind of like waved from one ear to the other. It was incredibly impressive on the sound front, and I liked the music and the harmonics in the background. The way that they echoed messages over and over again, it almost felt a bit like subliminal messaging. Either way, I think this is definitely one to watch. It looks very, very interesting. In terms of release and so on and what's coming out, it's coming on the PS5, it's going to be on the Xbox Series X and S. It's also coming to PC and will be released in 2023 as long as everything goes okay. Anyway, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I'll give you more details when I know more. Until then, have a great week everyone. I'll be back with more news and reviews soon.